What's up, guys? Vince Reddy here. You never thought I would review John Wick 4, but here I am. And there's a chance I might get into spoilers in here and there, but I'll let you know. I'll let you know. And if you do get, pretty much, here's the thing. I saw a bunch of reviews. I got spoiled for Cowboy Bebop. Damn it! If you know who that is, you probably know. I'm not gonna say it, but I knew it was coming. I heard that. Yep, I'm about to spoil this anime for you, and it happened. And I was like, damn. I keep hearing so many good things about Cowboy Bebop. So many people watch it, and I got spoiled for it. And I was like, well, I guess I have to watch Cowboy Bebop just to finish the plate. Other than that, this is not about Cowboy Bebop. This is about John Wick. And I just want to say, I watched the rest of the John Wicks. Now, 1 and 2 is a blur. 3, I definitely remember what happened in New York and that whole pencil meme or whatever. And for 4, I'm coming into this in a sense where I probably haven't remembered the beginning, but I don't need to, knowing that it really covers ground a little bit of what John Wick is going through. But the empathy for John Wick, for me, at least for this chapter, is like not there. I feel like I probably should have like some empathy, something surrounding John Wick for me to cheer on. If anything, I was cheering for the blind man. I was cheering, in maybe some ways, I was trying to understand a little bit more of Mr. Nobody. Like, who is he as a person? Like, what do we know about him? Like, there's like almost zero. And I see his notebook. I was like, there has to be something about this guy. Apparently not. Apparently he wants that money so bad that he's willing to actually slit. Oh man, that graphic scene with his hand where he got stabbed. Um, and he's willing to collect the bag. And let me tell you, John Wick's price, his like head count or bounty, is like getting higher throughout the movie. It's like, man, where does this go? And my goodness, that whole scene in Paris. Even though I'm getting caught up on myself with the whole expose of John Wick within this movie, I want to talk about the visuals and also how amazing it looks. Japan was another thing, for sure. The hotel with the lights, as you can see here on the poster, it looks amazing, looks badass. Like, that's for sure. Seeing the old fight scenes, the flashes, and how he's like presented in the ways and how everything looks. But just wait till we get to Berlin, where we get to Paris, and those scenes. If it's even New York with the building like all like destroyed, that hotel, and you just see them. The man himself. Like I forget who is the man himself. My God, it's definitely not John Wick, but the older gentleman that owned the hotel, as he's standing there with the other person that I try to understand. Listen, there's going to be a few names actors. I just only watched this and here's the thing. I've been out of John Wick 4. It's kind of like, you haven't caught up in like a math class for since 30 years ago, and here I am. That's what it feels like. It's like, oh yeah, what's the oh whoa, where's everyone? Okay, yeah, why am I here? That kind of deal. I was like, the ghost has brought me here or something like that. That's what it feels like a lot of times when it comes down for me with movies that has numbers and me trying to remember. You think I try to remember? Listen, Webtoon, with my reads, the videos that I do involving Let's Reads, like in my series as I call Let's Reads, is easy because I just need to see a few chapters of that, particular Let's Read, and it could be longer. I could be away from it for 3 weeks, 3 months, and I'll be good. But here's the thing about John Wick. Or any movies that I haven't seen in years, I forget most of Fast and Furious movies. I grew up with them. I forget most of the Minion movies, even though I didn't enjoy it, but I know the memes enough to know them, but I still forget. I can actually, somewhat remember a lot of stuff that happened in Code Geass, my favorite anime, and I guarantee you I forgot. But for John Wick, I remember the third movie. I remember the action scenes and how it goes. That's it. I don't remember the characters. I don't remember how the names, that, or where the blind guy comes in, or where the dog, Mr. Nobody, comes in, or the freaking boss, Marquois. Like, I don't remember any of that at all. I only know John. And seeing John, we're gonna get into it. The spoilers. I almost spoiled it without warning, but it was something. The visuals, back to my point of the visuals, it was amazing. You know, that scene in Berlin, the scene, itself, within, it felt almost musical. When they went into the rave to defeat the poker boss, as I call him, the main guy, Harkin, I believe his name is, as we were trying to, attempt to kill him, but the setting, how it sets up, and how he's like, this person, I kind of already like him, in a sense, but also, how he sort of carried, and also the others just came in, Mr. Nobody, and also the blind guy coming in as well. That was also a fun thing to see. I like the blind guy. I'm gonna be honest. This is a movie surrounded the blind guy, and his a sense of confidence and calmness through this movie. John Wick, compared to him, as I have to be honest when it comes down to any actors that I see on screen, is that John Wick is sort of like playing this in a way where he's drunk. I don't know what it is. I just feel the ending makes sense and stuff like that. This movie, I feel like Keanu actually really, really put all his exertion energy into this movie. The amount of, I don't know what it is, but John Wick was going on a full cardio. It's either that or he's old, and why is he doing this? And it could be all those things, for sure. But man, does he carry himself very well. That's a fact. Back to Berlin with the boss, as as seeing the cars that he plays and stuff. There's something aesthetically pleasing with the cars that I've seen this, especially in the debates at the close to the Eiffel Tower. Man, I want to actually have those. I wish there was a way to buy those. If whoever created John Wick would actually, or Lionsgate, to actually produce these metal cars. They look amazing. But other than that, yeah, that kill scene, especially when the music's playing and everyone's dancing, which is kind of funny to watch. Everyone's dancing and they don't care what's... Usually in reality, you would stop raving when someone's about to get killed, or just a fight going on or something like that. At least to me. A lot of times when they're far away, they don't really care. They're just dancing, stuff like that. But the scene itself almost paints a picture of what the mini production crew has learned from the last movies. And it's the pacing, the music, the atmosphere, and also the fighting scenes that you have to have with it. And there's some deadly fight scenes, I guess not in a sense Mortal Kombat levels of gore, but almost very aesthetic and very interesting techniques throughout the whole entire movie. And just of course there's a meme about John Wick that the way he kills, he could use anything, especially a pencil or whatever, and stuff like that. But the stunts and just the different things that they do with the ragdolls for this different stunt scenes and kill scenes and stuff like that was very well thought out, and very pleasing just to actually see through how they process that and how they mix it within the movie. I know for a fact there's a lot of choreography takes. That whole Eiffel roundabout scene was interesting as well. Just how they use the cars, as John Wick uses the cars as an advantage. And I really like that. I really like how it places that, kind of strategic battlefield by using anything in your environment, which is mostly what is common for most, fight scenes or movies nowadays involving action. And this one really does that very well. I also love the introduction of the blind guy, especially within the Japanese hotel, and how that comes into play. That's for sure. One thing that's seen that I'm just knowing that he's pretty serious and stuff like that, there's this sense of some empathy throughout that, and that's the reason why I like the blind guy a bit more, especially that scene where he almost tried to kill like Koji or the freaking Japanese boss, and you see his daughter like bleeding, but also the boss is bleeding as well. But the blind guy has to do his job, has to do what he wants, or something like that. And I feel like it's almost like best to stand down, but the boss didn't. It just went in, the full source, like it just felt like it's definitely how it should be. It's something in Japan where the freaking swordplay doesn't disappoint, for sure. And battling out, and also that scene where he's like suffering, and pretty much like I guarantee you that the daughter, and also the I'm not gonna spoil, but the daughter and also the the blind guy definitely get to meet at some point throughout this movie, or throughout the series, I would say, because and also like how like is there a hospital nearby? I'm just imagining the doctor looking at the injuries for both John or the daughter, or like all these other people that are getting killed, like what is happening, stuff like that. It's one of those aspects that you think about now as an adult watching these movies, where you're like, what is the pricing for this? How the heck did, like, where do you get the 20 million? Okay, isn't this guy like a billionaire or something like that? Why is he worried about a million? Is he like how is everything like almost placed in a way, like every time we see Marquois, the freaking big boss of the table, like the aesthetics sort of change to his favor, where he is like and it's so interesting, the whole atmosphere from the characters of where they placed in. It's almost musical and very poetic in a sense, because you see the big man, like the art paintings that he's surrounded by. You see how they're placing this, like the way they place this close to the Eiffel Tower in their judgment, or like place this in the Sacre, so, or whatever it's called, how they place that duel, like how like they know what they're doing. They're making this so pleasing, where everything is basically wallpaper itself, and it never disappoints. And I love that about movies like this, where it's like eye catching, and just like the artistic value of how these wallpaper kind of like style, elements through like moments of like realization, or just like and I understand for most of these movies, a lot of times there's a lot of movies that they don't appreciate the countries that they're in. This movie really does. It appreciates where it's in, where it's at, and also it gives us a time to actually look at the atmosphere surrounding John Wick, surrounding the blind guy, surrounding any character on screen, and be like, wow, especially the sunshine. Now that's another thing that I'm just like about to get into, but especially the enemy, the guy that is the Marquois, is like almost like any aesthetic just feels so pleasing in a sense. Is he intimidating? Is he one of the like best villains that I've seen so far? There is a point where he could be, and he easily is, but overall he's just like rich. He's just like pleasing, and use that to his favor. Where if there's something about being rich and pleasing, it's almost everything you have to have, or taste, or smell has to be a top tier as it should be. And boy does he get it. And he gets his way very easily, and goes into certain lengths where he's like, yeah, he's terrifying. He's scary. And I guess that's what makes a good villain itself, especially me wondering what happened to the blind guy's daughter. Like, what really is going on? Like, is the daughter trapped or entrapped or something like that? Like, under the table's hand? Like is that something going on? I don't know. I'm not sure. There's a lot of mysteries, especially the ending, which I'm about to get to. And yeah, this whole movie itself is just so good. The aesthetics for it, the colors that they use that as an advantage for its own scenes, but also the action throughout the movie of what to expect is very well played in this whole cinematic, experience. Now, for the spoilers that I'm about to get into, I want to talk about John Wick's spoilers, death. There's death scenes, and I want to, before I get into that, the death scene of Koji was something that I feel like I feel like there's some empathy behind Blind Guy, of just of them being part, but I never knew the relationship that they have for each other. I'm guessing the Black Guy is from Japan or something, but also he knows what he's going through, and he seems like he's there's so many parts for these people where when John Wick or some of them do the right thing or try to do the right thing, there's times where you take certain limits and you shouldn't get to those limits at all, like a line that you shouldn't cross or something. But there's times where it goes there. Like for this scene, when it comes down to the final duel between their, agreement, or at least John Wick's agreement of actually um, taking down the Marquis in its own duel. In my head, I thought it was going to be like, oh, they're going to place in the Colosseum in Rome or whatever. They're going to battle out. No, it's not like that. A duel in a sense where it's like gunshot duel and draw, 1, 2, 3, choice step. And, that's how it's going to go down. So we get that in the final battle. As the sunshine arrives, that they arrive at 6, and they pretty much place the cards and have the debate of it for certain reasons, what the decisions would be, for anyone's, especially the angle that the older gentleman was having my hotel back because his hotel exploded because the boss had exploded because of something happened before all this, which I guess I didn't pay attention. I guess, I don't know, I was pretty much paying attention a lot to snacks that I was eating before, watching the movie and stuff like that, or just mainly watching the movie. But yeah, it's something that surround the hotel, and especially his own friend passing away, in the story. It's just it's quite sad. And wanting all that back if John Wick wins, which in a way, yeah, that's possible for sure. But what in earth, I guarantee you the boss, Mark Wallace, is not going to follow John Wick's favors or anyone's favors, especially the guy that he, Mr. Nobody in his hand. Yeah, that pretty much shows it, in a sense. It shows it. But it's almost the favors that they throw at John, and pretty much the older gentleman said this, something like how, you have to use their rules and consequences against them. And that's what he did. Exactly. And that fake shot, pretty much, not fake shot, but basically that third shot of within the final scene under duel, as they shoot the Marquis, it was well planned. And there was a part of me where I had the same reaction as Mr. Nobody, just sitting there with his beer and just his dog and just watching this whole thing play out. I also was like, yo, of course this would happen. Did anyone see this happen? I didn't know I didn't see this happen, but my God, it happened. And yeah, later on in the movie itself, it seems like he has a relationship because especially that church scene, not the church scene where, Miss John got, blown to bits almost with a freaking shotgun from the priest. But that scene of the church scene really plays out of who my favorite character is. It's always the blind guy. That's for sure. But for John Wick, it's almost like he's very understanding. And it's almost of course I knew that John was gonna die. From the scene, not only, speaking to the old gentleman of about put something on my gravestone before he, locks out or something. But also that church scene made me realize John has to die. I feel like he has to die. Sadly, I have to say that he has to die. And I feel more for the person that has, and especially Marquis, this guy, says it best. John has nothing. But the blind guy, he has 3 things, which I'm guessing is his kids, I believe, his wife. I don't know what those 3 things, but I know it was one thing. That's his daughter. And I understand that for sure. And as we go in, into the movie of within this final scene, it was the prayers have been answered. It was all our questions has been answered, and it was rightfully so in the right place, and it felt so right. It felt something, not only John Wick protecting dog, it felt right. Not only he tried to help or something in good terms or something but also there's this sense of killing or not killing, of who you want alive or not. But that ending though made me think about it.